The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's Fantasy Sports Superstore, fantasyjocks.com. The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
I'm Pro Football Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. There's just one place where students are students first and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports help young people become confident leaders and role models and use the skills developed today to do even bigger things in life tomorrow. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth.
Down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet.
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing. What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of St. Ignatius Wildcat football, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live, final segment across the Sports Fix Radio Network. A lot of new ears listening across the various platforms today. Welcome in those of you guys that may have been joining us for the first time today, or those of you that are here every day. Welcome back in, and thank you so much for being with us here. J-Rock back with you as we head into this final segment. We're heading into the Cavaliers' final game tonight of their road trip, 3-game road trip here, looking to win them all as they come back home tonight, at the final game tonight, in Brooklyn before they come back home. Took care of business over the weekend. We talked about it heading into the game Friday. Cavaliers went to Toronto, and the last time that they played the Raptors, of course, that was the game where LeBron said the Cavaliers were fragile coming out of that game, and that was really kind of the boiling point of a lot of the frustrations from the early part of the season. But Cavaliers, they didn't allow that to take any effect in this one, as we saw a different Cavs squad from the last time those two teams met. Cavs went on the road 105-91. Took care of the Raptors. The Raptors were a bit shorthanded, of course, heading into that game with DeRozan banged up. But it doesn't matter. Nobody's pausing the schedule for you. You got to keep going. And the Cavaliers took care of business. LeBron, 24 points. But what I liked, season-high 13 assists. As we're seeing, they've switched the roles. Kyrie's playing off the ball a lot more, being way more effective. LeBron, hey, just like I'll tell you that I was wrong, I'll tell you that I was right sometimes too. And I said when the Cavs were struggling early that for as much flack as I give LeBron, and you guys know my personal stuff about LeBron James outside of basketball, outside of all of that, I've said, man, I'm so tired of people hyping him up in his own camp. He's not Michael Jordan. I don't care what people say. You might have the shoe brand, but you're Magic Johnson. And when you are Magic Johnson, your team is very, very hard to beat. What did I say? The Cavaliers have the best passer in the NBA in LeBron James. Everybody wants to talk about it like he's Air Jordan Sky. He's not. First off, he's not all that creatively dunking. He's got that power LeBron dunk that he does, but that always tripped me out because, people over-assume things just because of the hype around the guy. Of all the things that LeBron does well, he does a lot of things well, does some things okay. The one thing that he does better than anybody at least right up there with anybody in the NBA, and as good as anybody in NBA history, is pass the ball. I've always thought that is truly the thing that makes him stand out. A lot of people can dribble. A lot of people have his size. A lot of people have various assets of the things that he does. To me, man, having that court vision and the ability to pass, no look, all of that, he's very good at passing the ball. And I've always thought, man, I said, shoot. You get love here. You got Kyrie doing his thing. The squad you're trying to put together, LeBron could average 15 assists a game with this thing if he wanted to for the season and still be LeBron James, still get himself off. And I don't know if that would happen, but I said, man, to me, it's scary offensively to think of what this Cavs team could be at that point. Because if you get people reliant on LeBron James being the primary distribution, and then he's still got the ability to do what he does driving the lane, he now becomes undefendable. Undefendable. It's not that he can, it's that he will pass the ball at will. He'll rack up 20 of them a night on you if you let him, but the minute you back off of him, he'll kill you himself. That's when he's unstoppable. That's when he'll truly, and that's when this team really gets unbeatable. They're defending, obviously, and distributing, and LeBron being the key. 24 and 13, it was a season high. He continues to grow the assists. Meanwhile, everybody focuses on the lack of assists the last couple of weeks for Kyrie. That's intentional. That was a strategic decision by this team to move some of Kyrie's assists over to LeBron, let him distribute and run the point, and then Kyrie's attacking point guards one-on-one with the dribble, defending point guards still, so LeBron doesn't have to defend the point guards, doesn't have to run all over the place. It's hybrid basketball. Nobody plays set positions, which is what a lot of these guys are good at. That really allows you to use their skill set. Still a work in progress, but as we're seeing, that progress is coming a little bit more each time we see this team play. Here they sit now on a season-high winning streak as they look to press it now 6 in a row, looking to make it 7 tonight in Brooklyn, where the royal family is going to be there checking them out live in the house. So a little of a unique environment there for Cavs Hoops tonight as they take on the Nets. But again, and you know what else? I have to stop and mention my man Tristan Thompson, because Tristan Thompson has been quiet in the last couple of weeks as he's been, and that's good. That's his game. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't need the ball offense. He's a grinder, which makes him fit with a bunch of stars that need the ball a lot. But going beyond that, he made some noise the other night. He may be quiet a lot, but he wasn't quiet the other night. 21 and 14. He just exploded with the double-double, did Tristan. And that was big, man. And you go all the way back now to the last time the Cavs played Toronto when they lost that 20-point or 18-point lead, fell in that game. LeBron called them fragile. They haven't looked back since, and we may look back at that as a turning point for this team, as a point where they hit the bottom and started to work it back up. There's still going to be grooves and pits and all of that stuff to fall into. This team's not going to just run the table from here to a championship. They got a ton of work to do. But little by little, you're seeing it come together. Being able to go on the road against the top team and go out there and do it, a team that just beat you, a team that you collapsed against a couple of weeks ago, hey, man, that's important there too, and being able to continue to build on that. Going all 3 on the road. If you can win tonight, that's a big one to come back and have taken all 3 on this trip. But they continue to evolve their roles and stuff, and I'll tell you, I hate to say this because you guys know I've always pulled for Dion Waiters because I think that his ability fits in with this team, and he could be a dog coming off of the bench and being a key piece for these guys. But the fit the fit is the Cavs' word. It's their favorite word. And the fit's still not there for them. Hearing a lot of rumors. I saw Ron in the chat room posting something about that earlier in the show as the rumors continue to abound that they're seeking trades. I've seen Costa Koufos' name a couple of times here, former Buckeye. His name floated out as potential acquisition for the Buckeyes. But the Buckeyes. There you go. For the Cavaliers here, man. That's That's that Freudian slip. I'm running the social media here, and we were just talking about the Buckeyes last segment, so I got comments coming in, and again, look at the screen, and you're amazed at the Freudian slip that comes out there. But anyways, so that's where the Cavs are here, heading into this one. Brooklyn, hey, Brooklyn's a good squad. Brooklyn's a veteran squad over there. You've got to do your thing, you know. I mean, you're going to have to win this game. They're not handing you anything right now, sub 500, but they've got some players over there. Cavs are going to have to get out there and take care of business. It's 7:30 tonight, and then they come back home and Toronto again for the third meeting here. And then they don't play each other until, I think, almost the end of the season. But third meeting in 2 weeks here with Toronto coming back tomorrow night, as they'll have back-to-back here at the house. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that game tonight with Brooklyn. We'll see what the Cavs do and how they answer it. Can they make it 7 in a row? We'll know. And we'll talk about that tomorrow here on the show. Look ahead to the next game. Speaking of winning streaks, Monsters, I mentioned it earlier, Monsters extended their winning streak 4 in a row here as they won both games over the weekend. They beat Chicago on the second half of that back-to-back, even though there was one game between them. Took care of Chicago both games last week. 2-1 on Friday, though. And then they finished up the weekend on the road at Rockford, 4-3, overtime winner yesterday. I saw Joey Hishon had 2 goals there. And we'll talk to Doug Plagans about all of that coming up tomorrow here on the show. Monsters have now won 4 in a row. They've got points in 6 in a row, and they've got points actually in 7 of 9 here. 7 of 8 going back to the end of November, actually right before Thanksgiving. We'll talk about what's coming up for them as they've got a busy week here. They've got Wednesday at Grand Rapids. Then they come back home for a back-to-back Friday and Saturday. They've got Rockford both days at the Q. So a busy weekend. Doug Plagans will join us here this week. But Monsters continuing to dig out of the early season hole that they put themselves in, grabbing points, moving their way up the standings as we're here at the quarter pole, man, already plugging through an AHL season. Tell you what, speaking of plugging through, we plugged through another day today, and we didn't even have John McMullen in the house. John will be with us on Wednesday. He had a previous commitment here. Tomorrow, Dr. Football, Bill Checkus will be in the house. We'll talk about the Browns and whatever they may have already decided at quarterback with the Bengals game coming. Speaking of the Bengals, we'll look at the division here, not just the Browns. They fell in a tough one this past weekend. We'll look around at all of the NFL action. So I'm looking just quick. I mean, how about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati? That game 42 points. It's twice in a month that defense has given up 42 points within the division. Pittsburgh did the Browns a favor with that victory yesterday as they kept Cincinnati only a game and a half ahead of the Browns there in the division with that matchup looming next week. Baltimore was down early, pulled that one out against Miami, 28-13. Also did the Browns a bit of a favor as far as the wild card goes because of Miami's standing there, as you've got a bunch of 7-6 teams tied up in there. A lot of good games. New England continues. They've set the stage for them to run out at the end of the season now here. 23-14 victory. We'll talk about all that. Seattle, talk about offense meeting defense with the Eagles there. Seattle showed that defense beats offense. I don't care what you say. How about Oakland? How about B.J. Riddell? He told you guys last week. He said, I'm calling it here. Calling my shot. Got to make a bold prediction. Oakland's defense this week is going to be top 4, and bam, they took care of business. That was a limb to go out on right there. It's not exactly like he said, take the Broncos defense or something, or take KC against Arizona. He said take Oakland. But he was right on that one. Speaking of Arizona, they escaped there with Kansas City. St. Louis whitewashed Colt and the Redskins, and now Colt's hurt. Maybe RG3 back in there. We'll talk about all of that, the whole slate of games, the playoff races, and more with Dr. Football tomorrow. Bill Checkus will be here as well. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com will be here with his thoughts on Oakland's continued trading spree. Brandon Moss, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as he becomes the newest member of the Indians. Now they got to add some right-handed bats because they have got to they got to balance that lineup out. We'll talk about that tomorrow and what may be coming too as we're in the middle of the winter meetings. I'm sure a couple of big names still this week. I expect a couple of those pitchers at the top to fall off as well. We'll talk to Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com about all of that. Doug Plagans, voice of the Lake Erie Monsters, he'll be here as well. Your takes and so much more as we roll on. It's Tuesday. You know how we do it here on The Fix. Hey, enjoy tonight. There's some Monday Night Football, Atlanta and Green Bay. And, well, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers can go out there and put like 56 points out for me, that would be fantastic. Even then, it's not. This is not a week where I enjoy talking about fantasy football. I'm going to be honest with you. I played in 5 different fantasy football contests this past weekend. And without miracles tonight, I will have went 0-5. It's my fault. I mean, I played on DraftKings and I started Brian Hoyer, and then I benched the Browns defense, which actually wasn't the worst idea to play them. I knew my gut told